Thanks for staying with us. I'm Eric Bolling in for Bill O'Reilly tonight. In this second Unresolved Problems segment this evening, gaffes, blunders, and clarifications. There were some doozies over the last few days. Joining us now from Los Angeles, radio talk show host and Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce, and from Miami, Doug Schoen, a Democratic pollster and Fox News contributor. Guys, we got a lot to get to. We got some good amount of time, though. This first shot, let's take Press Secretary Robert Gibbs weighing in on the future of Gitmo. Take a listen to this soundbite.
We are a month away from being a year late in closing down Guantanamo Bay Prison. When's that prison going to close?
It's certainly not going to close the next month. Some, regrettably, will have to be indefinitely detained. I say regrettably, not because it's a bad thing necessarily for them in terms of the fact that they're very dangerous people, and we have to make sure that even if we can't prosecute them, we're not putting them back out on the battlefield.
All right, Doug, you're the Democratic pollster and right. Analyst here. What the heck did he mean by that? I'm a little confused. Go ahead.
You know, your guess is as good as mine. Eric, what's happening is the Obama administration really basically wants a policy of don't ask and don't tell about Gitmo. And by that, I mean they really want the issue to go away. So rhetoric is going to be vague, inconsistent, and the status quo is just fine, though the president made a promise that he would close Gitmo down in the first year of his presidency. He's obviously not going to do it, so the rhetoric is that of somebody who was trying to dodge, bob, and weave, and that's what Robert Gibbs was doing.
What about it, Tammy? Dodge, bob, weave, maybe just backtrack. How about just coming clean, saying, you know, we changed our mind. We really shouldn't close Gitmo after all.
You know, one of the problems is that when there's a problem like this, and also James Clapper, which we'll get to, is that there's never really a discussion to try to get to the truth or to find a solution. There's always spin. But this problem exists because Obama, in an immature way, made wild promises to people to simply get their vote. People didn't think about the fact that maybe he didn't know what he was talking about. He gets into the presidency and realizes, oh, wait a minute, maybe there's a reason why we've got this prison out there on Cuba, and maybe these people really do want to kill Americans. I mean, the scarier thing is that they weren't taking that seriously from the beginning. And it's taken all this time to finally have them admit that this isn't a game. I mean, that's the bigger issue for all of us. That transcends parties because it affects the safety of every single American.
All right, hang in there, guys. I want to play the second soundbite. This is Janet Napolitano, Homeland Security Chief, weighing in again for the second time on Mr. Obama's top advisors not knowing about the 12 arrests in London, the anti-terror arrest. Go ahead, guys, roll it.
I knew, John Brennan knew. We also knew there was no connect that had been perceived to anything going on in the homeland, and that we were in perfect connectivity with our colleagues in Britain. So one of the things I think that should be very clear to the American people is that those of us in Homeland Security who needed to know, we knew.
Okay, guys, here, let's set this up a little bit. She's talking about Lieutenant General Clapper, who runs the National Intelligence, the Director of National Intelligence. Just so you know how important that job is, there he is on the left. There's a picture of him right there. It's a $50 billion agency. It oversees groups like the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, the DEA. Go ahead, Doug. How could they just try and hide this? Clearly, he wasn't briefed. He should have been briefed, yet here it is, spin zone again.
Well, that's the point, Eric. You're absolutely right. I mean, he does need to know, and the fact that he didn't know points out the fact not only wasn't briefed, but we don't have real clarity and discipline in terms of the organization of national intelligence with the various agencies who supposedly are reporting to Mr. Clapper. I would suggest that the real problem is that they didn't come clean and say, you know what, right. He didn't know, he should have known, sorry, and we're going to do a better job in the future rather than letting the issue.
Forget that, Doug. Sorry, we're going to do a better job. Tammy, what about it? How about he should have known, he didn't, he's fired, get rid of him. This guy has the president's ear.
Look, I think he is going to go under the bus. I mean, there was an arrogance to that last part of what she said, that those who needed to know did, and he didn't. I mean, that to say that about the guy who's supposed to be overseeing everyone is a pretty big slap in the face. I think this guy's going. The problem is, though, even my dog knew that day that there had been 12 arrests in London. I mean, you would wake up and you knew it. either they've got him living in a basement somewhere, or he was watching the Beverly Hillbillies, because I don't know what he was doing that made him be the only person on God's green earth who didn't know that had happened.
He was probably shopping for a tie. Doug, what about it? This is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, anti-terrorism bust in the UK. How in the world could his people, if not all he had to do was turn on a TV, for gosh sake?
For 5 minutes.
It's clear, given what Secretary Napolitano was saying, he was dealing with Iran and North Korea allegedly at the same time, so he couldn't really be up to speed with what was going on in Britain. Look, in politics, Eric, I've been there. I've been in the White House. Mistakes happen.
Tammy, we have viewers, Tammy, that are more informed than the Director of National Intelligence. That's scary.
Well, see, this is how bad the situation is. We all agree here about the seriousness, that this is the kind of thing that even partisan politicians, partisan people like us, we all find a common ground about how strange this is. Remember, Clapper's in the position as the #1 advisor to the president. Effectively, Napolitano and Brennan are answerable to him.
Right,
and when he's being almost kept in the dark deliberately, we have to wonder what else. You look, the White House staff describes their environment there as the theater of the absurd.
Let me read this.
That's what they're dealing with.
He leads the intelligence community, the IC, overseas, has a board of 16 seats, the CIA, like I said, the NSA, the FBI, the DEA. Let's go to soundbite number 3. It's Vice President Joe Biden talking to George Stephanopoulos from ABC about where he thinks the gay marriage issue is headed. Listen.
I think the country's evolving, and I think there's an inevitability for a national consensus on gay marriage.
Hey, Schoen, national consensus? Yep. Really?
Well, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist with swing voters. The only place there's a consensus is among the hardcore left of the Democratic Party. And for that constituency, Joe Biden was reaching out to them, throwing them a bone. The president, in his press conference, did the same. But bottom line, this is one of those issues that I think the Obama administration is going to empathize but not move, because to move would cost them key swing voters in swing states in 2012. Don't think it's going to happen.
He sounded more sure of that than whether or not we were going to extend Bush tax credits going forward. Boy, he was sure about that, wasn't he?
Well, yeah, it sounds like he suddenly missed Cleo or something. He's knowing into the future here. Look, this is a guy who's a vice president for Barack Obama. He has no credibility. I mean, I don't know why anybody's taking anyone from that administration seriously. Now there's even discussion about Hillary Clinton leaving. So, I mean, they've got a real credibility problem, and I think they seem really sure about that issue. But in order to be able to get married, no matter who you are, you've got to be able to survive the war on terrorism that we're in, and they don't seem to have a grip on that. So I think we've got to find a priority
Doug
here.
and Tammy, we're going to say thank you. We're going to have to leave it there right now.